So from the movie or the cartoon Frozen, they're creating an Olaf, who's like a little snowman guy robot that's going to roam around their parks. And so, you know, I think, so I'm in Los Angeles, right? And so in Los Angeles, and I think maybe some of the other bigger cities, we have like these little courier robots that go all along the sidewalks, and will deliver, I think, food to people, is what those are for. I don't totally, I've never gotten food delivered from them. It's interesting. I see them around. At one point in time, I was walking down the street and I saw like their little charging area. And then we've had the in-home, servant-esque robots, that I don't know if those have been, either they're not successful, or all I'm seeing is the posts where where they go crazy and destroy everyone's plates and stuff. This one's kind of interesting. So this is going to be like an amusement park robot, which, if you've seen Five Nights at Freddy's or Westworld, the amusement park robots never go right. So we'll see how that works out. They had this other one that was like this, like rubber finger that you would put on your hand, and so that it looks like you have 6 fingers, so that if there's any video evidence of you doing something, you could just say it's AI because you have 6 fingers in the image. That was kind of kooky and weird. And then the other one, and this is just, and I wonder how good this is, supposedly on NanoBanana, and I mean, like, I don't even know how, I think what's going on with NanoBanana is that it is somewhat similar to how ChatGPT is doing their image generator, but it's even more robust in what it's doing. I can tell that it's somewhat agentic. So it's not just here, give us something, we're going to do it. They're using a lot of agentic power behind it. But I guess people have been putting in coordinates and dates and times into it and then asking it to generate an image, and then it will, and they'll give it like coordinates for a location and then a historical date and time. And so so then it's generating images of Jesus Christ on the cross, or it's generating images of 9/11 or of the JFK assassination. They're all kind of like bummer events when you think about it. And so I think that if it's doing that, then it has to be using the internet, right, to figure all that stuff out. It's got to be using those coordinates into Google Maps, and then looking up those dates and times to figure out what historical event people are trying to do. I have not verified that you can do this myself, but I do think it just shows that the NanoBanana system is highly, highly agentic. Like, it's not just a model that just figures that stuff out. Like, it's not just an image generator model that knows all that. It must be researching things on the internet to be able to pull off some of those tasks. Okay, that is AI news. Today, we're going to continue with, we didn't really get very far with Friday's vibe coding of open source voice generation system. We were on Friday working with barely fish speech. However, right after that, I also got a notification from one of my newsletters that Vibe Voice from Microsoft is out, which is weird because they made it seem like Vibe Voice is brand new, but then when I look at the repository, it's been around for months and has 16,000 stars on it. So it's not that, I think, but then you can also see on here that they updated some of the files 5 days ago, which falls in line with the announcement. So I think that this is a project that had been around for a while, and then they must have just updated it and it like reached new benchmarks or something like that. So we will mess around with fish. It's called Fish Voice. It's called Fish Speech. We're gonna mess around with Fish Speech a bit. If we run into any dead ends, which are almost inevitable, then we'll pop over to Vibe Voice and give that a try. But these are theoretically ElevenLabs alternatives for you. And really, I would say, for some of the stuff that we look at, it's a good alternative because the other version is more pricey. When we do, we'll see how far we go with this, but like the next project we're going to tackle is the open source HeyGen alternative. That will not run on my machine locally, I don't think. I think it wanted 12 gigs of VRAM, and I haven't gotten my 16 gig RAM card yet. I'm probably, that's a 2026 thing, but I'm going to set up a Google Colab Pro so that we can run that. Or I don't know. I don't even know. I don't need to do Google Colab Pro. I just need to get it set up in Google Colab because you get 12 free VRAM in Google Colab for free. So maybe we can just try it out there. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be working on today is open source voice generation, and then possibly Google Colab open source AI avatar generation. Let me see. I think I'm not seeing anybody new. Russell, of course. Keith got a pretty good streak going, showing up every day since he started. Georgetta is back to stay. Dominic's here, and we've got Aaron, of course. Aaron's also on a pretty good streak of showing up to coaching calls. Okay, any questions, any comments, any ideas from anybody before we drop into doing some vibe coding? Going once, going twice.
Okay, I'll bite. I got a quick one for you.
Oh.
Have you heard about this new Lux, L-U?
What does Lux do?
Just learned about it on a podcast called Leveraging AI with Isar Mades. I wasn't really thinking about talking about it because I'm not schooled in it, but I did run a Perplexity search, learn about it. I guess I could drop that into the chat. That might help school.
Yeah, so I'm seeing a bunch of different Lux things. I feel like Lux is a very popular name in the AI. There's next gen computer AI, built AI agents with Lux. Is that it?
Could be. The difference I'm understanding from Isar Mades at Leveraging AI describes it as it was built separately than other LLMs with the idea of being specifically an agentic model from the ground up. Therefore, it seems to surpass all of these other benchmarks. One that I can think of off the top of my head was the mind is something. There's like 132 data points that it must meet, and it's superseded all the top LLMs. That's Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, everybody. And out of the blue is this new company. So I just did research on it yesterday a little bit. I'll drop it in the chat, the link to the space that I created or lab that I created, whatever. But it seems very intriguing, and it's supposedly at 1/10 the cost via API. So a full agentic system. I don't know if it competes with like a Manus or a GenSpark or something like that, but it is pretty intriguing. I just wanted to see if you'd had a bite on it yet, or.
Oh, I have not. I think I have found the right one. It says like a computer use love letter to developers, the world's best computer use model and developer toolkit. I think that must be it. I typed in Lux LLM and I think I got the same company. But this seems to be an agentic system that can run your computer. It keeps on saying the world's best foundation computer use model, outperforming models from leading AI labs like Google, OpenAI, Anthropic. Yeah, so I think this is probably it, right? One thing I will say is, well, because this is sort of competing, I guess, ish with like MCP servers, because it looks like it's controlling different like software on your computer, right? Like I see it like playing video games, working with Amazon. Let's see, it's doing NASDAQ. So it's probably, what do I say? Like the agentic aspect or like the LLM itself might be pretty good. It might be a good one to be using. I wonder if you should be using, well, I guess that's a question. Like, is this MCP or can you use it with an MCP? A base computer use task. So this is new to me. That's the thing where there's always going to be new stuff that pops up in the AI world. But the one thing I will say is that a lot of times when it says it outperforms other models, it depends, right? Like maybe that's great, and that really means something, and that benchmark is amazing. I think that it's definitely that's always at least worth trying out, right? Where it's like, well, like it does like, you know, with the benchmarks, it does worse than everybody else. It's like, it doesn't sound great, right? But if it is doing better than everybody else, that sounds good. It also does, you know, like matter about your use case and how you can leverage it, right? Is this something that is easy to build with, right? That does have a use case that does make sense for you. If you're saying it's 1/10 of the cost, that can be great, right? But it also 1/10 of the cost of which AI model, and do you need this to do that AI model? I guess so. This is computer use. So again, like it's working with your computer instead of doing anything else. I have not really done much with like, say, like OpenAI's operator, where you let it control your actual software. I've messed around with MCPs a bit. In general, especially when I was doing things with MCPs, I was not the biggest fan of that system, essentially, of like, it sounds great to have AI control your software, I guess, right? But it does at times get rid of the human in the loop. And it does feel like a lot of times that I was not getting the performance that I wanted out of it. So, but if that is something that people are doing, right? Like if you are experimenting with allowing AI to control your computer and computer use, I definitely would give this a shot. But I also, again, like with that, I don't feel like I hear that next level of achievement with it, where it's one thing when people are, oh, look, the AI can do this now, right? Or it's like, oh, like we have these AI operators and they can control your computer and they can do all this cool stuff. It's like, okay, but then that's like the hype marketing sort of videos that they show you, where they give it a very specific task and it can pull it off. And it's like, sure, but then does it actually work really well? Do people get a lot out of it? Is there anybody, here, let me see, perplexity spaces. Let me check this out.
Yeah, maybe it's a good idea to go to Reddit or something to see what the feedback's been.
Right. Or usually I just like try to test it out myself. That is something, again, like I haven't gotten too much into. Maybe I should give that more of a try of like trying out these AI operators. I think it is good before you jump into that. Like, what are the use cases you want with it? Like, what are you really looking to get out of it, right? If you go into it and it's like, oh, hey, I want to try this out. Yeah, but like on what?
What's
right?
the goal,
Like,
right?
what's the goal? Well, hey, I want it to, I don't know. And it's like, okay, well, then what, right? So, and again, like, is it once you start to break down those tasks that you wanted to do, does it make sense to have this AI operator do it, or does it make sense for you to just do it with AI assistance? But again, like if you do have good use cases and you have figured out some, then I think that is, again, like sort of the horse before the cart, right? Like, what do you actually want to use it for? Have that as like these goals, then go in, try this again. Like if this one's cheaper, you might as well try this one out. And then if you're getting either halfway decent results or good results, you know, maybe from there, now that you've figured out sort of the you know, how it all works, seeing what the other ones are like, maybe, unless this one is so good that you're like, yeah, I don't even care what the other ones are like. This is great. This is handling all my you know, all my work for me. Because it's like, you know, they will show you, I feel like there is this inclination to show you that it can do these things. And it's like, yeah, but then do I actually want to do those? Right? Like one of it looked like it was like playing a video game for you, right? And it's like, well, what's the point of it? Why do I want it to play the video game? Like, aren't I supposed to play the video game? No. And then potentially though, it's like, okay, it can control the application, but can it do it well? Bringing it back to something that got brought up yesterday, or that comes up a lot, you know, on our channel, is like doing YouTube videos, right? Well, like if the last sort of stage to putting together YouTube videos to have a channel is to have something, is to be able to edit those videos, right? Here, now I have 5 different videos that came out of HeyGen. I've got 30 different B-roll videos that I got out of, you know, Runway. I've got music. Here, now I have this agentic system. You edit it all in Premiere Pro and give me an output. Can it handle that task, right? And if it can, then now you're talking, right? Now you're finding that last piece to generating your YouTube content, right? Or, will it be effective at reading your emails and responding to incoming emails from lead generation, right? If it does, great. If it's not that good, well, you could build that same thing in N8N. So I know you had a quick question, but I'm very good at taking a quick question and making the answer way too long. But I have not seen it yet. I do think that if it's doing that well in the benchmarks, it is at least worth checking out if you are interested in these AI software operator platforms. And again, try to have some goals in mind that you actually want AI to operate your software for, and then see if it can handle it.
One of the things that they touted on the podcast is RMEs, that is leveraging AI, saying that its ability to gather from your local environment.
That's right. That is, so then there's two different things here, right? So like one is model, and the other is like the agentic sort of workflow from that model, right? So like the model is processing things and being able to understand things. The other aspect is like that, like, well, it can utilize your native or your local files or your local environment. Okay, like theoretically, those are two separate things and two different sort of are like sort of capabilities or like parallel sources. Unless it's inherent to the way they train the model to make it so that it is better at understanding local environments. I don't know exactly. There isn't much, at least from what I could tell. How much? Oh, they have the docs on here for developers. Oh, they have a blog, use cases, inventory filing with Amazon Data Crawl. And inventory filling, okay. Software QA using nuclear. All right, well, I think it's definitely worth checking out. The one thing I'll tell you is that, everybody in the AI space, going on a podcast, doing a blog post, doing a social media post on LinkedIn. I'm not saying that they're all overhyped and don't do exactly what they say, but probably 80 to 90% are overhyped and don't do exactly what they say. Or they do it, but then it seems good, and then when you go to actually try to apply it to your life, you're like, oh, like, I don't really need this. And like they're showing on here that what is it doing? I guess it is. So it's operating their laptop and, it's going into Slack, and it's reading messages from Gmail. Maybe. What I will say is like this type of thing is at some point these are going to get better and better and be more and more useful. It might be a little bit more like, so image and video generation, like initially it's or like image generation or LLM APIs. Like when they first came out, it's like, oh, okay, like this is cool, but it doesn't really, it's only a toy because the problem with image generation is it wouldn't really generate images of things it had never seen before. So if you tried to create a marketing image, it wouldn't put the product in. And then you could train a LoRa, but like that was really difficult and not very useful. And then what if you had a bunch of whatever? Then NanoBanana comes out and it's like, oh, okay, now we have a way to create marketing images. Like this is a great solution for it. That's really taking things to the next level. And then the same thing with LLMs. It's like, oh, okay, like this is cool, but it doesn't know anything about my company. Like if I try to use it for a chatbot, it's not going to work. Then they come up with RAG, right? I think that some of these operator agentic systems are kind of maybe at that stage where it's like, oh, this looks cool as a tool, as a toy. Some people are getting some stuff out of it. But to really cross over and shift where the industry is, it's going to need another development. Cool.
Yeah, I don't mean to throw another one in the mix, but there was
Go for it. We got time for it.
Called Remy.
Remy.
Yeah, this. Let's see if I can even find it now.
Takes perfect notes on every call.
No, it's similar in the way you can get it to gather in your local environment, but it tracks everything that you do, the web searches, your emails, anything that you do. So it's browser related, for lack of another way to describe that. And I just got a little bit of wind of it last night. I think it's Remy AI. Let's see if that's it. And the reason I considered both of these, my use case would be in order for it in the scope of machine learning, learn about me, shortcut my processes. You know me, just do this.
Yeah.
Right. So inevitably that's where I'm going anyway. It's kind of like I hated Alexa when it first came out. I don't want that thing knowing what I'm doing, what I'm saying, who I'm talking to, my private conversation. And I said, you know what? Engineers all over.
Yeah.
I might as well just submit and then take advantage of that. Let them
Yeah.
learn me, and let's get to the truth of who I am, what I'm doing, and how I can do it faster. So that's where I'm at today.
Oh, okay. This brings up an important thing. I also saw this on the same Power AI Instagram. I guess we're all just sharing the social media topics we came up with. Google, supposedly both Google and Meta are going to start and maybe they've already done it. Like they're going to be reading your emails and training their AI models on your emails. And then Meta, and I don't know, I feel like maybe they have been doing this for a while. It's surprising to me if this is a new thing. But supposedly there's a setting in both of them where you can turn that off. And again, I think that this is actually has been going on for longer. I think that it is like they just want to have something to post about to get people to engage and click on things. But in a similar way to what you're saying, it's like, well, I don't want AI to be reading my emails. It's like, are you sure? I mean, if it's not going to do what you think it's going to do a lot of the time. And then I think that at times we're really guarded against this information. And it's like, well, if you're doing something super illegal, that might be.
And you got things to worry about, right?
Yeah, like what Steve was bringing up, I was like, well, I mean, if you have you're building if you or you have nuclear secrets, maybe lock things down a little bit better. But what do you really care if AI knows this stuff? I think it feels invasive. It feels sort of difficult and creepy. But then, or that thing where it's like if you're talking to a friend and you're talking about they're like, oh, you should check out. There's this new book, and I really enjoyed it. And then you go to Amazon or you go to Instagram, and one of the first things that pops up is that book, right? And we all feel like, well, it's listening to us, and now it's, that's creepy, and it's hearing what we're saying. And supposedly, according to the companies, it's not listening to you. What happened was your phone was on you, the phone was on the other person, and because the phones were near each other, it used that information, and it knew that they had been reading that book recently, and that's why it showed it to you. That's at least their explanation for doing it. And regardless, it's like, well, but didn't you want to go find that book? It seems creepy, and I think it's one of these things that maybe our generation is bothered by, just like all these different things that previous generations would be bothered by that we do all the time. And they'd be like, wow, I can't believe, again, that you have Alexa, right? Or that you do this or you do that. When, kids who are 13 to 22 right now don't care about any of that stuff, and this is just going to be the way their world works.
And by the way, it's Remio. I'll drop the link in
Remio.
Yeah,
okay.
Remio.
So then Remio is also an agentic workflow system?
Supposedly, the value to this is the way that you don't need to store files here, there, and collect everything, that it remembers everything from all of your visits, web, or even emails, I suppose, browser, everything like that. And it organizes it in such a way that you can recall it, much like using the / or the @ within the chat to pull up either the last visited website, perhaps a document that you had stored in your computer, or anything alike. So for that purpose, if you're doing a deep research or you're compiling from multiple sources, the huge benefit is the collection of a multiplicity of types of data sources all gathered in one space. And for that, it makes sense. And speed, right? So
what I'll say about all of this is, though, and this kind of goes back to a lot of the, I guess, conversations that we've had, which is and what we said even today. I think that there's like sort of two different modes that you can go into. One is, I'm going to find a solution to my issues. And the other one is just like wandering and discovery, right? And so if you really want to make progress, as I was saying, it's like you actually need to have like a real goal. Like if you don't have a goal, then it becomes, and this is not just with us on this call. It's the same thing if you have AI customers or customers who are interested in AI services. If you're if you're doing consulting, you need to have a real goal and like measurable, and they don't need to be like all these in-depth measurements or this complex math, but like, how do you know that you're reaching your goal? What are you going from? What is the solution? And then really kind of looking like, well, is that worth it, right? And this came up, when you've been talking about your newsletter, right? It's like, I want something so that I can put together my newsletter. It's like, well, yeah, like if you try just having AI help you and not necessarily automation, and you get this down to, okay, I've got a project set up here, a project set up there. When I press a few buttons, it takes about 5 minutes and I get my newsletter, and then it just goes out. It's like, oh, okay. And then from there, it's like, well, now I want to set up an automation for it. It's like, well, that's going to take hours to set up, and then you're going to save 5 minutes every time. Are you sure that's what you want to do in that stage, right? And then the same thing here, like if you're very interested in these platforms, you are going to probably get to the bottom of like whether or not they're useful enough if you have these predefined goals where it's like, I want something that is going to read my inbox and do this and do that, and it's going to save me this amount of time, and so it is worth it for me to look into these, right? And then you can like sort of stay on, as I put out there, it's like this 80-90% rule where it's like 80 to 90% of the time you should be focused on, for your AI time, solutions that will get you towards the KPI goals that you're looking for. Because we all have shiny object syndrome. We're all early adopters. We're all just going to bounce around. And the internet is a AI drug dealer, essentially, right? Like it's out here giving away AI for free. It's just trying to get you hooked. It's got this AI, that AI. It's AI all over the place. They already have their gateway drug with ChatGPT, and now we're all hooked, right? And so if you are sort of more in an exploratory phase, then sure, bounce around a bit. Like it doesn't really matter. And there is value in that, like kind of trying to get some of those reps in, see some of the patterns that are out there. What are the different value props, and like, does any of this stuff make sense? And partially to kind of, if you were to just do all that, you could spend a bunch of time learning what I've kind of learned, which is like, okay, like a lot of this stuff is overhyped and it is not real. And that does give you a level of experience and knowledge that can be beneficial to other people. But even when you're doing that exploratory phase, it is probably good to still have some tasks, some goals that do have KPIs that you can evaluate all this stuff against, because otherwise you'll just go along with their blog examples, or you'll see their like simple examples that they have and be like, oh, okay, like this is pretty cool, because they're sort of leading you down this path to success by their metrics. But then once you start stepping outside of it, and you're like, well, no, okay, like for it to actually help me, I would need it to do this task. And then once you start putting it to that task, you're like, oh, okay, like this isn't actually that good. This is only good because it works when you do what they're saying that you should do. And one of the, again, like, so I was doing voice agent work with some of these platforms like Vappy and Retail. And they, again, always have to put the caveat in that maybe these things are better now. But when I was working on them, it would show you, it's like, oh, look, it's great. Like it'll do this voice agent where you can call it up and it'll say hi, hello, and then it'll schedule an appointment for you and you're good. And it's like, oh, okay, like great. If it can do that, then it must be able to handle all these other things. And then I would try it on these other tasks that were a little bit more complicated, and it would all just fall apart. And it's like, oh, okay, like they'll have these demo tasks where it looks good, and it's like, and it's supposed to just like, oh, like here's a proof of concept that it works well. And it's like, all right, great, it has that proof of concept. What about the MVP? What about that minimum viable product? Like, will it be able to do what I want it to do? And you find out, no, it can't. And so I do think that even when you are exploring all these things, it can be good, even if you're just doing discovery and you don't really care if you find a solution or not. to increase your awareness of how these AI tools work, is good to have your own goals that you come up with separately from what they tell you it's good at, so that you can really put it to the test.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with all of what you said.
All right. Let's do a little vibe coding. We'll see how far we get. This might be, we'll find out. This might be a tough one or it might be easy. Okay, so we're starting off. So this is fish speech. I'll throw this into the chat. And so it's fairly highly rated. Look, yes. When you're looking at GitHub stuff, I think I get pretty good sources, and these things are not absolutes in here, but something like this where it has 24,000 stars, it's like, oh, okay, like it didn't end up with 24,000 stars, you know, and with nobody, you know, like, because you'll sometimes get sent to GitHub repo possibly, and doesn't have many stars. You know, it doesn't have many forks, things like that. And it's like, I'm not sure about that. And either A, it might not be all that useful, or two, it might be, you know, full of like fish or like Trojan horses to steal all your information, all your nuclear codes. But this one's pretty well rated. And again, this is basically an ElevenLabs solution. Or alternative. And then if you want, you can go and play with, let's see what we got here. They have this playground where you can try some stuff out. And then it looks like they have a Hugging Face version. Oh, okay, this isn't a space, it's just a model. Cool. All right, and so beyond that, we also have this. So we went through this a bit, and so this was just setting it up. Initially, what did we do? Made sure we had Python and Git. I might need to, I forget if I did this last time, but hang on, let me double check. I got to ask it this question first. All right, well, here, we'll move on. So we have, we cloned fish audio, our fish speech. Now we're in the fish speech. I did this, I set up my virtual environment. Let me see if that's still set up. It is. So we still have this virtual environment. And again, for anybody who's new to vibe coding, Python, things like that, the reason why we're setting up a virtual environment is essentially you have all of these like library dependencies here. All this stuff that had to get installed to be able to use it. And this is pretty typical of like a GitHub repo or any of these like different packages you're going to get. You don't want to install these all globally because if you do, then you'll have another project that you're working on that has different dependencies and wants different version numbers, and it all becomes a mess because you're using all the same dependencies for everything. So you create these VNVs, you can name it whatever you want, but then now it just installs it to this project and it keeps your projects isolated. So actually now, I don't even know if I have, let's take a look at this. This winget install FFM. Yeah, sure. What happened there? Why aren't you reading anything? That's difficult. I've been having a weird issue like this recently, which is making this difficult. Wait, hold on. Now that works. So I can type, but for some reason, it won't let me type in here. That's going to be tough. Here, let me then do PowerShell. What happens when I do it in here? I realize this is riveting. Okay. All right. But I need to get this to work. And it is. Okay. There we go. Well, that's fine. And so basically here, let's back up. Wow. It installed an incredible number of packages. All right, here, it actually might be easier to just go through all right. So we're handling that now, as I said. So we created our project. We cloned, if you need to have Git installed on your IDE to be able to clone things, but then you're able to work with GitHub. And so then basically took everything that was in this repository and then switched. Now we're in that folder, fish speech, created our virtual environment. We activated it, and then this is the part we're basically at now, where we installed everything that it was looking for, and then we're going to have to check on this Download the model weights. I don't think we've done that yet. Let's give that a try. So the one thing though is that a lot of these LLMs I've noticed have been asking me to install like the wrong Hugging Face dependency. Oh, it looks not that bad. Cool. And then we're gonna actually download these model weights. Ooh, okay, this is a different installation method. Great. And we don't want Docker. Okay, interesting. Oh, you start the web UI. Oh, interesting. This is going to have a UI for us to use. All right, well, here, let's do this last step and then see what happens. So this part, if it goes, yay, it's not suspicious, it's fine. Essentially, the idea here is we are going to, yeah, okay, cool. It is downloading these models. And then hopefully, once this is all downloaded, let me check on good news. Yeah, I know the file looks safe. Interesting, I did that twice. Okay, all right, and then this will be done a couple minutes, fairly soon. And then let me see if there's anything else for us to check out in here. I think what I'm basically going to do is we're activated. We're going to throw this bad boy in here, see what happens, and then once we get error codes, we'll let it know. And I'll say that I think I used method 1 to install, right? Yeah, so I did method 1 for installation. Okay, and then I'm here. Cool. I would say like even if you're not necessarily a vibe coder, a vibe project installation, or I think it is worth it, where it's just like getting the dependencies right, figuring out how to, if there's any issues with the cloning, just troubleshooting, getting this stage of things set up. And it's much easier to just use an LLM. It'd be one thing, and I would say like, maybe not, or try some other way. If these packages were ever set up like really well and universally, handled, and there weren't any issues, but there's always problems. There's always issues. And so like you might as well use an LLM to help you out. Okay, how are we doing down here? Done. Okay. And so let's see. I wish it had better logging. Would be cool. I have no idea what it's got going on right now. I wonder if it had this. I'm sure this isn't ready yet. We'll take a look. I feel like it would tell us. Oh, there we go. CUDA's not running on CPU. Okay, loading Llama model. Okay, so it's just loading. We might want to fix this CUDA not being available. It should be. I think that maybe I just need to install something. But we'll see how far this goes, and then we'll take a look if there's any difference, or if this will run at all. Having it run on CPU is going to be slower for sure. I mean, this thing is pretty slow as it is. Okay, all right, so it did pretty well, but like even this, like Torch Audio has no attribute list audio backends. Like, now what am I gonna do, right? I've never used this before. How am I gonna figure this all out? Let's go, Claude. Yeah. All right, here, let's do this. Actually want to make sure. Okay, this is just going to show it a bunch of stuff. All right, and while I'm handling that over, I can also grab pip show torch audio. Well, let's see, 2.10. 2.91. Okay, well, I'm gonna run it with the reduced memory settings. Oh yeah, let's do that. Okay, I don't want to patch the code. I feel like that's never a bigger thing. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Yeah, let's see. It loves to tell you about these distributions that don't even exist. So again, like there's different version numbers for these different dependencies, and it's telling me to install one that doesn't really exist. LLMs, again, not perfect, but if I had to go and figure out all this, patch the code, like patching your own code is cool. Patching GitHub repos code, not the worst thing in the entire world. I have had success with it. It is something, oh, I don't want to use Docker necessarily. Maybe. Let's try this. And then they had mentioned using a quantized version, I think, or reduced from memory. Half precision. Let's see about that. See what happens when I do this. And I'd say, like, for these voice generators, setting up ElevenLabs is pretty simple and it's pretty cheap. The only reason why I would do this is if you, I don't know what, like if you don't want to be sending your content to ElevenLabs, if you want to keep everything in-house, and just not have to worry about, sending sensitive materials or whatever to ElevenLabs. This gives you a local solution that doesn't require an outside API. Otherwise, I think that it is, ElevenLabs is a pretty good service, pretty natural sounding, and does not cost that much. You would really, I guess, if you were creating an incredible amount of voice content, this could be a solution for you. Or again, like if you were maybe building, I'm just going to see this really quick and see what happens. I'll just run into issues, whatever they are. Yeah, like if you had a bunch of content that you could not send to ElevenLabs, use something like this. The HeyGen one, if we can get that one working, the AI avatar system, yeah, there's probably something wrong in here. Let's just give it this whole thing. I really feel like the HeyGen one can be a solid solution just because of how much that costs to generate. You could actually probably potentially save yourself a decent amount of money. This is crazy. Like if you look at this, if they're right at all, like this is again why you why I would advise using an LLM to get through this, right? Where it's like the code has two different problems. Torch 2.20 is too old for fish speech because it needs torch and an attention, which was added in PyTorch 2.4. But then old Torch Audio has list audio backends. So you need both new versions, which means we must patch the code or use Docker. Let's upgrade back and use the easiest solution. I think I have Docker Desktop on here. So Docker is a containerization solution. All right, here, let's do this. Let's try these. See what we get. I mean, with this one, I'm about to abandon Fish Audio pretty soon anyway, and go to the other one if this doesn't work. So we might as well just start patching. And then we'll see if that gets us anywhere. But essentially what it's going to do, I do feel like when it does this, I do worry about its ability to patch with these one-liners, but we will see. Oh, saying use Docker and it's 3 commands and it'll work. Maybe. All right. We'll try this. Then last resort will be Docker, and then we're going to get rid of Fish Audio and move on to the other one. I mean, I guess it must work for somebody for it to actually have all those stars. But one of the things that you will run into with some of these GitHub repos is at this level, there is a difference between Mac, Windows, and Linux or Linux. And that's why I also like using, like if there is a Docker container solution, that can be really useful. Although there are issues with that even at times. I know it's like some of the graphics cards. And so this is fun. This is installing and uninstalling. This is a significant, not an insignificant portion of my time is spent upgrading, reinstalling, uninstalling. I feel like it's like PyTorch, the Torch world, for whatever reason, things that have Torch in their name, it's this fairly often. I don't know why exactly. I don't know what goes on within the Torch realm, but if you're working with open source AI models, And there's a great chance that you're going to install libraries that have and dependencies that have the word torch in them. Buckle up, because this is what you're in for. Okay, it looks like we're going to be out of time. I don't think that we're going to be able to get anywhere with this. I might, between now and Friday, bang around with this just a little bit to see if we can get a fast, easy solution, or if we should just abandon it and move on to the other AI audio solution. Okay. Thank you for coming to our coaching call today. Sorry that we didn't get as much progress as I wanted, but that is, that's AI life. I will see everybody on Thursday. We will be doing N8N. I think we'll be taking on, I will give everyone the JSON for the last N8N we did, and let's tackle a new one. Have a good one, everyone. See you.